Today we're talking about what happens when an INFJ snaps. And this is not the same thing as an INFJ door slam. INFJ door slam has very often something to do with being hurt and being disappointed, and you just cut off people out of your life. When an INFJ snaps, it can also be that the INFJ is just fed up and angry. And this happens more often than people recognize. And as INFJs, we carry a lot of guilt with that because there's such power that comes out. There's such a side of us that we keep hidden for so long that once you snap, you just can't contain anymore. And so it's like this monster that comes out that surprises people like they never thought this could happen. And you are most of the time disappointed of yourself that it got to this way. But at the same time, it is a good feeling to know, okay, now I don't have to pretend anymore. Now I don't have to hide it anymore because that person didn't deserve any better. We're going to talk about today how it happens, like why does it really get to this place? Why do INFJs snap? And like, what is that all about? Why are we hiding this all the time? Before we get started though, remember if you haven't done this so far to download the poster on the 5 pillars to an INFJ epic life, and definitely sign up on the list below to get notified when our new audio course goes live. Really excited about it. It's probably going to be in May. It's a home study program, so you can do it on your time. It's audio, so you can do it while you're driving or while you're going to the supermarket, whatever it may be. And it's all about starting your epic life today. So definitely check out those links in the description. You might have heard that INFJs can be monsters deep down, and it's something that we sometimes feel really excited about, we're proud of, as in, okay, we do have all of this power, and we just gotta be careful with it because once it comes out, we cannot control it, and it really hits people out of nowhere. Like I've experienced this with so many of my friends, so many people that are close to me, where I've been overcompensating, being very nice, giving, and all of those things. And then at some point I snap to such an extent that I say things that are very offensive, that are mean, and that hit to the core. Because there are two things we have to be aware of. First off, as INFJs, we by design understand people really well. But we understand them even better if we take on the role as an observer. Because when you're in the role of the observer, the other person doesn't know much about you, but you get to understand the other person even better. The more you put yourself back, the more you allow people to just kind of like expand themselves, and you see where are their hidden fears? What are the things that they're trying to hide? What are the things that they're sensitive about? And we're protecting that. But when it comes down to it and you feel like I cannot control myself anymore, I have tried to, be the bigger person and now I can't, it really comes out in a very intense way. And it was something I was really afraid of for the longest time because it was so potent. And it isn't necessarily that it's so powerful like you would see from other types when they're really raging and it's like this force that is just uncomfortable all the way. With us INFJs, it's a very precise energy. It really comes out and it hits you exactly where it hurts. So it might not be something that you can continuously go on, so it's not like one of those batteries that never dies, but it just hits you right at the core. It hits you where it hurts, and that's when people get really freaked out. I've made my friends cry. I have really shocked people, and at that moment, I was so overcome by anger that I really didn't care what I said and how I said it. Afterwards, I thought, okay, I went a little bit overboard here. But nowadays, to be honest with you, that barely ever happens to me. Like, I don't remember the last time I snapped like that. And the reason for it is because I'm not hiding it as much as I used to. I mean, think of it like this. The more you put yourself on the back burner, the more you say, I'm going to keep myself small in order to let other people shine, in order to be there for them. I want to be, able to just let them have fun and I'm going to stay back. The more you do this, the easier it is to get to this place where you say, okay, now I've had enough. And that's where the INFJ snaps. Like, I still believe I have this power of snapping and reacting this way. It just barely ever happens. Like, I seriously don't remember the last time I snapped because I'm not compromising so much of myself. I'm not putting myself last. I'm not being the martyr all the time. And I think this is a very interesting and important lesson for INFJs to learn that, yes, we do have this power. This is one of those traits that INFJs possess, which is, when you snap, you can hit really hard, you can hit where it hurts. And at that moment, you actually become really cold and you don't feel like there are going to be consequences to your actions. And most of the time, they're not. It's just like, you hurt the person, you don't like the way you feel about it maybe later on, but it's not like that person will necessarily fight back and you will lose that battle. Very often, the INFJ in that situation really comes out as like, okay, I won, but not from a perspective of somebody objectively looks at the situation and says you have won, because that doesn't exist to begin with. It's just that if we get to this place, we have already thought it through. We have already tried everything to accommodate the other person. We have tried to understand it from their perspective. We have tried to be nice. And if that doesn't work, then we know we don't have another choice. We know, okay, this is my last resort. I'm really angry. I'm going to let this part of me out. And if that hurts the other person, then that's just the way it is. They have to understand I cannot be crossed here anymore. And this has a lot to do with boundaries. I mean, think about it. We all have boundaries. We talk about INFJs very often not being really good at boundary setting, that sometimes we're too kind or too forgiving, but we all have boundaries. Every single person has boundaries. It's just like, at different areas. Maybe one person has a boundary of, okay, you talk to me in a negative way, there's my boundary. I do something about it. I leave this friendship or whatever it may be, and that's done. Another person might have a boundary when somebody else steals from them. There's always something, right? And it can be very extreme. It can be, okay, that person abused me for years and, now this happened and now there's a boundary. But we all have a boundary. We all have this snapping point. And the point is this: the further the snapping point is away from a state of well-being, the stronger you're going to react. And the reaction of an INFJ can really be very intense. It has a lot to do with the fact, as I said, the knowledge of the other person, the way we can control energy. And I don't mean it in an esoteric way. It's just FE, extroverted feeling, is our second function, meaning that's a creative function. So we actually create feeling. We create a feeling that we aim towards somebody else. Very often this is a feeling of harmony or being kind, but that can also be a feeling that hurts. So we have the power to actually control how other people feel. Of course, it's not like we can control how other people feel, but we know what to say that can evoke how that person feels about themselves. And if we know where their trigger points are, we can bring something up, be a mirror to that, and people can have an incredibly strong reaction to that. Very often I even see INFJs, and I know this has happened to me, where we said, okay, I actually should snap right now. Like, that person has really gone way too far. But I know if I bring out my whole energy and if I bring out everything and I hit that person exactly where it's going to hurt, it's going to crush them. And that's just so painful, and that's going to be so hard that I just can't put it on myself. I've gotten in a situation like this. This was actually one of my breaking points, because I said, I never want to feel like this again. I was really pushed to the corner. I had no choice. I had to bring that energy out. I hit that person exactly where it hurt with just some truth. So I, acted in a way how they didn't want to be treated. So that person in particular was very scared of being seen as weak. So I just acted in a way of, oh, you're completely weak. Like, that's exactly who you are. So I was mirroring back your deepest fears. They've never said anything like it. It's just the INFJ very often knows that from people's reaction and from people's behavior. And so I really disliked myself after this. I thought this was so cruel and this was so heartbreaking. And I know a lot of INFJs suffer from this because of this immense power that we carry. But how do we deal with that? Like, what's really the goal here? Like, how are we going to change that? Do we want to change that? For me, it was a point where I said, I never want to feel like this again. I never ever want to be in a situation where I have to bring that out, where it comes so as a surprise. And also, I don't want to always, show the other cheek and like continue to be the martyr and continue to be the bigger person, because I am human and at some point I'm going to break. And then my reaction will just be very, very painful. So, what did I decide? How did I change that? So, I said to myself, yes, it is true. The further this point of snapping is from my, all around feeling good level, the harder this is going to be, the harder it's going to, kick off, the harder it's going to, hit the other person. So what I said is, from that moment on, I was not going to allow, it to get that far. So I learned very early on to tell people when they are crossing a boundary of mine. I learned new kinds of boundaries. I actually started saying things to people and stopping them before it actually really bothered me, just to practice, to create a new normal, right? A new normal for my boundaries. So before, I was willing to overlook so many shortcomings in a way of that person in my example felt weak, so that's why they're confronting me continuously. That's why they're putting me down. And, I understand it. I know where they're coming from. They're just hurting. And that was my previous mindset. But I knew, okay, the consequence of this is at some point I have to protect myself. And then it's like worse than anything that has happened so far. So I have learned to say no. If that person starts acting towards me in a way that is not acceptable, then it doesn't matter if they're suffering. It doesn't matter if, there's a reason why they're hurting. Hurt people. That may be, but that doesn't justify a person treating you badly. And I had to learn this. That I stopped looking myself as this special person who can take more pain as anybody else. And I had to learn that, I have to protect myself earlier. I have to put myself first much sooner. And once I started doing this, guess what? I'm not snapping anymore. Like, I can literally not remember when the last time was that I really bursted out like this. And that's a good thing, because that actually makes me feel, okay, I'm setting boundaries way earlier than I used to. So this intensity that comes out at once, that I continuously just push down every time it came up, I don't do that anymore. I let it out in small bursts every single time a person is crossing my boundaries, and I'm not acting solely out of the perspective of an observer. And yes, there's a price you have to pay. The price is that people are going to know where, your spots are, where you're going to have a reaction, right? Because there are really things that I don't care about. And then there are other things I do care about. And I don't want somebody to be in my face about it. And the sooner you show that, it's like revealing yourself. It's like you're showing, these are my weapons. And that is something a lot of INFJs are afraid of. But it's a payoff worth taking, because the alternative is just not feasible. And it really makes you feel like you're waiting for life to happen. You're waiting for somebody to see what you're sacrificing for them. And that day will never come, because people will not see it unless you show it to them. And you don't want to show it to them in such an extreme way, because then it hits like way too much. You snap, it's hurtful, it's really intense. And, a lot of people have a very strong reaction to it. So of course, please make it a point to readjust your boundaries, to see, okay, I'm going to have an opinion sooner. I'm not going to be the observer anymore. I am a person who's deserving to be heard just as everybody else. And that strategy will actually make you feel way more powerful, because you know that you're not using all of that strength you have to survive, to put yourself back, to be the martyr. No, you're using that power to thrive. and then it becomes a win-win situation. Remember, if you want a little push and a guide how to start that process so you actually become aware what you want and what you're willing to fight for, then download the poster on the 5 pillars to an INFJ epic life and sign up to get notified to the new audio course that is all about you creating the life on your terms. It comes out in May, so make sure you're on that list so you get access to all the goodies and all the offers we're going to have. And if you want to watch another video now that is in alignment with today's topic, then watch the video Why People Are Secretly Scared of the INFJ.